Hi, this is Simon at Driving Spirit, and today we're going to have a little drive in one of the forgotten, really, A-series, the derivatives of the 2CV, and that's the Citroen Ami. So today we're going to have a drive in a really rare Citroen Ami 8 as a test drive before it goes off to the Antipodes. But before we do that, I thought it would be great just to quickly show you what we've got going on here at Driving Spirit. So we've been really snowed under, actually, building these two vehicles, two Citroen Miharis built up to as new. And these are both going to Burgundy in France, of course, and they've just been MOT'd this week, this last week. So yeah, fabulous. Do like a Mihari. And then in our next door workshop we have ongoing work on Bernard, the 2CV van. And Max here is preparing doors for another Citroen Ami, a really rare right-hand drive Ami 6. So this vehicle has been with us for some time, too long probably, and we're just preparing all the panels for it, for its total bodily restoration. So without further ado, let's have a look at this Citroen Ami 8. So this is 1972, and it was bought at auction by its Australian now owner, and it is quite possible that this vehicle has only travelled a mere 29,000 miles from new. So we'll have a look under the bonnet. The bonnet release is down here. It's been fully restored in recent times by somebody in East Anglia, and yeah, what a beautiful job. Okay, let's go for a drive. Max, let's go. These door handles are something I remember from my boyhood in France, going in an elderly lady's Ami Super, which is an Ami with a flat 4 engine. So yeah, I've honestly, probably of all the derivatives of the 2CV family, what Citroen Anoraks would call the A series, perhaps the Ami 8 has been my least desired, but let's find out what it's all about, because people who've had Ami 8s absolutely love them. So it'd be really interesting to see what makes them tick and see what it is about this type of car that people are so passionate about. So you can see the dashboard here, quite typical French dashboard of the day, the speedo kind of buried down there. You've got a fuel gauge and a voltmeter, heater controls over there. Of course, being a variety of 2CV, you've got the push me pull you gear change and the umbrella handle handbrake, which I love. The gear change on a 2CV is really slick, actually. It's back to front. There's the pattern right there. Reverse, arrière, AR, arrière, is the French for reverse. Then you've got first dog leg out there, as they say, second and third. And the logic behind this is really great. You see, when the 2CV was produced, it was produced it was really only allowed to have 3 gears, and the engineers knew that to produce a car that originally only put out 9 brake horsepower with its diminutive 375cc engine, that it would never manage to go everywhere with only 3 gears. So they got round the design brief. I'm going to ask Max to watch what he's filming, because I don't know what he's filming at the moment. He could be filming my knee. You know, they'd never managed to get this thing up hills, or at the same time be able to actually have something resembling a realistic top speed with only 3 gears. So the engineers said, okay, well, we'll put a surmultiplier, an overdrive, in place. So the first 2CVs came out, they were 4 speeds, but the 4th was called overdrive, and they got round it like that. They actually, the designers, they got round many things like that in the 2CV, and thank goodness for the designers, because you know, often they're the ones who know best, the engineers rather. So this is 4 speeds, and very useful. You've got first and reverse opposite each other. Just have a look at this. Look. So you've got first and reverse opposite each other. So if you're, you know, if you're doing a quick 3-point turn, so easy to just go first, reverse. And then when you're going through town, you want second and third all the time. Second, third all the time. And, you know, so easy, so quick. And then, you know, you get out on the open road, sort of stick it into 4th and more or less forget it. And with the 602cc engine, the mighty pulsating 602 engine, you know, you've got the torque most of the time to be happily, you know, cruising along in 4th. Anyway, let's go for a drive now. Yep, 2CV ignition always on this side, but AMIs are over on this side. So I love this big single spoke steering wheel. Our Driving Spirit logo kind of represents this beautiful piece of artwork. Just an absolutely amazing design of steering wheel. It just disappears down into the bowels of the engine bay and kind of presents you your steering wheel, sir, with this kind of, this almost cuff-linked arm, bringing this wonderful bound wheel, which is enormous, I have to say, but very nice for it. And of course you've got an unparalleled view of the instrument, so it doesn't matter that the speedometer is buried somewhere south of Italy. It's visible because you've got nothing getting in the way. There's even, look here, hidden in the dashboard is an ashtray, which I think I'm not going to pull out. Oh no, there's the ashtray, that's something else. Anyway, hidden in the dashboard is a bit of trim, for some reason detachable. Immediately I can feel the softness of the ride on this 1972 car. And it really does soak up all the imperfections on the road, just like any original Citroen should. It's a thing of beauty. So the Ami is a little bit heavier than a 2CV. It has bigger springs, but it remains really well planted on the road. That extra bit of weight means that the ride is even more grown up than a 2CV. Lovely and soft and a little bit plungy. The Ami was the first model to acquire disc brakes, and the disc brakes are mounted in the same way as the 2CV, inboard, so reducing unsprung weight. And the reduction in unsprung weight means that you can have a really beautifully soft ride. Lovely gearbox. And you know, people who've owned Amis, I remember meeting people who used to own Amis new in the 70s, and they were so loyal to this very unusual, very unorthodox counter-cultural vehicle. You know, many people were buying perhaps basic model Ford Escorts or Vauxhall Vivas, and it took quite a bold move to buy something like an Ami. You know, a two-cylindered French car with so many idiosyncrasies, but actually the people who bought them never regretted it. They were so loyal to the brand. They really enjoyed just the unique flavour of these cars. And actually, you know, okay, the engine was smaller. You know, it wasn't a 1.1 or a 1.3. It was half that. It was a 600cc twin, air-cooled. But the performance actually was very good. And obviously the ride quality and the space and the value for money was exceptional. And there's something about these wonderful 600cc flat twin engines. They're unburstable. The way they're designed, you know, you very, very seldom had a problem with the engine on these cars. We have a customer with a 2CV that has done over 200,000 miles and the engine's never been apart. It doesn't smoke, it doesn't leak, it doesn't make any noises, you know, any untoward noises. It just gets on with the job and it still goes really well. So these engines, they were so well engineered. And the other great thing about these cars, about the way the suspension is engineered, with huge leading and trailing arms, leading arms at the front, trailing arms at the back. You can, despite having so soft springing, if you do an emergency stop, and it's all clear, so I'm going to do one right now, there is no dive in the car at all. The car simply squats. And the way they plough over speed humps and things like that is just remarkable. So I think that's what we'll do. I think we'll take the car over some speed humps on this journey, and you can just see that that the suspension will eat them for breakfast. gearbox is so sweet. So we'll just pop over this speed hump at 30 miles an hour, right like this. There we go. Imperceptible nearly. The main problem is having to follow other vehicles for whom speed bumps are a problem. Looking particularly beautiful. So I know there are some pretty vicious speed humps going this way, so we'll just ride over them without reducing speed. It's unbelievable. Whole car speed hump. Lovely. And another one. So you see, these, this may not be the prettiest car that's ever been built. I'll be honest with you, the shape of the AMI 8 doesn't really do it for me. Give me an AMI 6, yes, absolutely. But there's so much more to these old Citroens than what they look like, and actually some of them really did look quite special. This was an intensely practical car and a very, very clever vehicle at the same time. And AMIs sold like hotcakes in France. They were France's best-selling car in the 60s, and very, very much loved. And so it's not so much all about the glitz and the glamour of what a car looks like with Citroens of yore, of their glory days. It was more a case of how clever the engineering was, how the engineers at Citroen could use Citroen's own stubborn adherence to avant-garde technology to solve engineering problems, to solve the everyday issues of how a vehicle drove on the road. If you drove a contemporary saloon to this car from 1971 or 2, in comparison, it would be hideously unsophisticated in comparison with this. And this is the amazing thing about Citroens in those days. They used to build cars that stubbornly adhered to really clever and left field engineering, and they didn't mind being bold and daring in that. They ruggedly pursued that line of, with their other vehicles with hydropneumatic suspension. they adhered to that until about 1995, and then they sort of produced another, and they gradually lost the plot with these things to become more mainstream. But back in the day, Citroen were so clever and so bold and courageous, and I love that about them. What manufacturer now can you look at and identify as being so courageous? And for me, really, the only one that comes close these days is Subaru. Almost all manufacturers now just follow a standard compromise for the production of cars, which is sad. It's a sad, lackluster design ethos. So, welcome to the glory days. Welcome to the days when there was a manufacturer or two out there who dared to be different. So, the Citroen Ami 8 there. Yep, it's a lovely car. This is Simon from Driving Spirit signing out.